Hey friends, this is Rich. Wanted to talk to you today, share some stuff, a little devotion for you, go through a few different passages. So in Titus 2:14, so that verse, it says, talking about Jesus who gave himself for us to redeem us from every lawless deed and to purify for himself a people for his own possession, eager for good deeds. So that purify for himself a people for his own possession. In the King James, it talks about a peculiar people. The word translated, that peculiar or people for his own possession, it can be translated from the Greek. It has made up of two different words, meaning around and then to be. It can be charted by a dot within a circle. This will help us to understand the meaning of the combined words. As the circle is around the dot, so God is around each one of his saints. The circle monopolizes the dot, has the dot all to itself. So God has his own all to himself. They are his own private, unique possession. He has reserved them for himself. So just to remember that once we have accepted Jesus, then we are God's precious, special possession all to himself. Um, and so that should give us comfort. That should give us encouragement. Um, Another part of what he goes on to explain is he references 1 Peter 2:7. So let me read that verse to you. This precious value then is for you who believe, but for unbelievers a stone which the builder rejected, this became the chief cornerstone. This precious value then is become. So this preciousness, this precious value, this preciousness is talking about Jesus. Jesus' righteousness has come to us through faith. We can't make ourselves righteous. We can't make ourselves clean. It is through Jesus' righteousness and his blood that cleanses us and makes us whole before a holy God, makes us clean and right before a holy God. And so that's a great one there. He says, but for the unbeliever, a stone which the builders rejected, this became the chief cornerstone. So just a challenge. If you do not know Jesus, then that stone, you thought maybe someone thought that Jesus is just another person, just another one of the stones out there. Actually, no, he has become the chief cornerstone, the most important for the foundation for a person's life, not just another prophet out there, not just another religious man. He has become the chief cornerstone that cannot be denied, that is essential for building your life upon. So I would challenge you and encourage you in that direction. Consider Jesus today and coming to him in faith. Let's go on. Another verse that he talks about is just temptation. So in the same line of thinking, with the dot enclosed with the circle and God's protection. So he says this is also a place of protection. You could think of it in that way. If we are tempted, a temptation would be possibly a trial or a testing time. It has to go through to get to you in the center of a circle. It has to go through the outside circle, which would be the permissive will of God. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 10:13. I'll read that verse to you. That's a great verse related to temptation. No temptation is overtaking you except something common to mankind, common to everybody. And God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will provide a way of escape also, so that you will be able to endure it. That's a wonderful verse. It's a comforting to know that God will provide a way out. Just we have to fight against our flesh so that we take that way out instead of giving into our flesh and giving into sin. He says that word temptation has two different meanings: a time of testing or trial, and then second, a solicitation to do evil. But remember, we are a special possession, people of God, all to his own, closest to his affections, under his protecting care, and the recipients of all needed comfort and grace to stand up during a testing. So let's conclude with, he talks about the purpose of Christian suffering. And this is a little bit different perspective. A lot of time, if we're in the midst of suffering, if we're in the midst of some trial, then we can only see our own pain, and it's hard for us to see beyond that particular thing. So I'm not saying any trial or temptation is going to be easy. I know that it's not, but giving this perspective, as we think about this more, this may help us during that time of trial or temptation, especially times of trial. So God, in his wisdom, plans the test and limits the temptation. God, in his love, sends the test and permits the temptation. God, in his grace, meets the test and overcomes the temptation. In his wisdom, he plans and limits. The purpose of Christian suffering is that it is a means whereby sin is put out of our lives, um, and likeness to Jesus is produced, or the result is becoming more like Jesus. We must be ground between the millstones of suffering before we can become the bread for the hungry multitudes. In his love, he sends and permits. Christian suffering shows God's love for the saint. In his grace, he meets and overcomes. The grace of God is sufficient to surmount every difficulty, comfort any sorrow, and overcome any temptation. That's wonderful. Hopefully that's a good perspective for you. I want to end with this verse here, just following up on that. It made me think of 2 Corinthians 3:18. But we all, with unveiled faces, looking as in a mirror at the glory of the Lord, we are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. So we're becoming more like Jesus. It talks about it in 2 Corinthians as well. 2 Corinthians 5, it talks about that we should make it our goal to become more like Jesus. So this is when we're encountering suffering, when we're encountering trials, then we are being transformed as we are faithful through those trials, as we're faithful through those difficulties, then that purifies us, and we're continuing to become more like Jesus. And that's what that verse is talking about there. We're becoming more like Jesus, and that's what that verse is talking about there. I really like that verse as well. That's 2 Corinthians 3:18. And so that's just a good perspective for you as far as the Christian, and a perspective on suffering, and also a perspective on God. We are in the center, surrounded by God's protection, surrounded by his love, and that he cares for us in a way that we are a special possession. And I just thought that was encouraging. I wanted to share that with you today. If you'd like to know when I'd be doing the next devotional, please subscribe and hit the notifications. And also, then, if you think that somebody else might be encouraged by these verses, please share this video with them. Or if they might be challenged with these verses, please share the video to them. Thanks again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.